Half-Life Field Intensity may be the best Half-Life mod I've ever played. And that's not hyperbole. You will see events tied in from all of the other Half-Life 1 experiences.
These ladies are crazy.
This mod feels like an official Half-Life Opposing Force 2. In fact, if Valve released this as an official Half-Life expansion pack, saying it's cut content that they never released, I would believe them. It's that good. And I'll explain all of that after today's sponsor. Thanks to OperaGX for sponsoring this video. OperaGX is a browser made specifically for gamers. Now I know swapping browsers can be a bit of a hassle, so OperaGX has something that makes it a lot easier. The Quick Import tool. Simply click on the gear, synchronization, import bookmarks and settings, and click import. There you go, you're good to go. But why should you actually use OperaGX? Well, one of the things OperaGX prides itself in is its resource management. If you use GX Control, you can limit how much RAM and CPU OperaGX uses. I'm sure many of you, like me, will always have a browser open on your second screen while you're gaming. Maybe you're watching a stream, maybe you're streaming yourself, maybe you're looking up some useful information on that game. So limiting how many resources this browser uses is very useful. You've been watching me click around while I've been talking, it really is this easy to change these settings, they're right there. And look at how it compares side by side to Chrome.
Wow!
But one of the biggest things about a more recent update to OperaGX is just more personalization. Default browsers generally can be a bit boring. Sure, you can make them look different, but it's not quite as easy as OperaGX. Simply go to the GX store and there is a bunch of stuff here. You have dedicated wallpapers, even animated ones. You have background music if you would want that for whatever reason, no judging. Different keyboard sounds as you type. Opening and closing tab sounds, and many, many more things. They really went overboard with how much customization you have here. As someone that's gotten very tired of the sterile, boring oversimplification of aesthetics that companies have gone for today, this is kind of refreshing, even if you go completely overboard. If you want to try out OperaGX, there is a link down below in the video information. Huge thanks to OperaGX for sponsoring this video, and now back to Half-Life. Let me explain why I like this mod so much. You do not play as Adrian Shepard. They're not trying to follow the footsteps of an established character. You play as Stefan Oldfield. Yes, Stefan, apparently, not Stefan.
Guess who's your radio operator, Stefan?
You are experiencing the events of the Black Mesa incident as another Marine. Unlike Adrian Shepard, you don't get knocked out for the first half of Half-Life. You're there from the beginning, so you have orders to clean up the facility, aka murder all of the scientists.
Where's Freeman? You don't have time to mess around here.
You've got to believe me. Freeman could be anywhere.
I'm not letting you go until you talk.
Please, don't kill me.
Seeing how players react to this is really amusing. Some people just go full government cleanup and start killing everyone, and other people try to protect the scientists. You have full control over which one you do, it's up to you as the player. But right away, this game takes no time establishing the universe you're in. You see so many things from the other Half-Life games, and this is so cool. That includes Half-Life Decay. In fact, the first thing you see from another Half-Life game is that pool with the dead security guard from Decay. And in the very next room, you come across this.
These ladies are crazy.
Yeah, that was Gina Cross and Colette Green, the main characters of Half-Life Decay. Not too much later, you come across Kleiner and Eli.
What's happening? Green?
At some point, you'll come across this ledge that I distinctly remember from playing Decay because so many of those stupid baby enemies were attacking you. God, I hate controllers so much. They're so annoying. But the events of the other Half-Life games are happening at the same time. You're also trying to stop Rosenberg and Barney. In fact, you come across the end of Blue Shift in this game. Oh, it's here. When what's-his-face teleported out. I gotta get there in time. Why do I not remember this? You try to follow Barney's teleport, and for some reason it doesn't teleport you to Zen, it just kind of teleports you around for a bit and then drops you and you get knocked out. A scientist finds you, saves you, and resuscitates you, where you wake up at the beginning of Opposing Force. This is so cool. You are playing as one of those other Marines that you see at the beginning of Opposing Force as Adrian Shepard. This is the original concept behind Blue Shift, that one security guard that you see at the beginning of Half-Life, you play as them. There is a lot of other events that you'll come across from the original Half-Life games, but you will eventually experience that nuke at the end of Opposing Force. Now, just explaining this to you probably sounds like this mod is a bunch of fan service, but that's not the point of all of these games being part of this mod. It doesn't feel like they're just jerking off the Half-Life franchise and saying, look, do you recognize that? It's so cool, we love Half-Life 2, like our mod. No, the reason these events are here in the game is because it gives you a time frame. Have you seen that one YouTube video? The timeline of the Black Mesa incident? The one that shows a map and the progression of every Half-Life protagonist and where they were at what time? That's what playing this mod feels like. It feels like it's adding another person to that timeline, to the events, to this map. I cannot praise this part of the mod enough. They knew their assignment and they nailed it. There's also a bunch of other stuff I came across in this mod that doesn't really matter to the overall timeline of the original Half-Life games, but was just really cool nonetheless. Do you remember that one cutscene in episode 2 where G-Man's talking in front of that big screen? Yeah, that's in this mod. You come across that location. Like, I mean, that is just the area from episode 2. That's just like super neat. Oh, hi, G-Man. Like, that makes it neater. You'll come across a random screen talking about aperture science. Or maybe you'll come across other things that have nothing to do with the other games. They're just memorable events that happened. Like how this guy dies.
You smell what I smell? I have a bad feeling about this.
That man just got telefragged. Fucking rip. Or maybe it's just a funny moment.
Oh no, I'm not fat. I'm just what's called big bone. Hey, I thought we were becoming friends.
Otis is always a source of amusement. Needless to say, there is so much love and care put into this mod. The people that made this mod understood what made Half-Life 1 special. They loved it enough to want to basically make their own expansion. And that's not to say that this entire mod is just an homage to the other Half-Life games, because this mod is really long for a mod. Now, I've beaten this mod before, so this is a second time playthrough, and it took me about 5.5 hours. A first time playthrough is probably going to take you around 6 to 7 hours. That's regular $60 game length for a first-person shooter. No, don't try to argue with me that that is short. First-person shooters that are linear are generally pretty short. I saw a lot of people arguing that Space Marine 2 was short, which was weird to me. It's like they didn't grow up in the 360 era and they didn't play linear games. I hate how every game needs to be bloated to be 20, 50-hour long campaigns. You don't need that, to the point is fine. Anyway, as I was saying, this mod is mostly its own content, its own maps, its own experience. This mod simply wants to exist in the Half-Life universe, and it does that exceptionally well. I know I'm really going off about this, but I cannot praise this enough. Very importantly, this mod is also not interested in tagging along to Half-Life's story and adding nothing on its own. This mod does have its own story involving the main character. At the beginning of the game, you pick up a radio. On the other end of the radio is a man named Kevin, a longtime friend of yours.
Guess who's your radio operator, Stefan? Yeah, it's me, your old friend Kevin.
He will be your voice to guide you along. When you get knocked out from that teleport mishap, Kevin starts talking a bit differently. I won't spoil what happens. I thought it was actually kind of predictable, but I'll let you figure this part out on your own. This mod does have its own story. It also has its own voice acting, which isn't Hollywood level voice acting by any means, but it's definitely better than most other mods.
Well, you're the one with the night vision. You go there.
Most mod voice acting is so bad it's hard to take seriously. Here, it's good enough, I would say. I'm not really thinking about it unless I'm actively trying to nitpick against it. Okay, all of this is really cool, but it doesn't mean anything if the gameplay itself isn't very fun. Well, as you probably have gathered, it is really fun. Since you are playing as a Marine, and since this is inspired heavily by Opposing Force, you still get all of Opposing Force goodness, meaning you get all of the weapon sandbox you would find in Opposing Force and all the new enemies. But they did add more content than just that. There are some new things to play with, like a med kit, allowing you to heal yourself at any time. This honestly didn't change the game too much. Healing yourself takes forever, and the med kit does need to have a charge. The way you get a charge is you have to be at full health, then walk over another med kit. This does at least give you the ability to heal your other squad mates, which is nice because you are playing as a Marine and you will have more Marines following you than you usually do. And I may be crazy, but I swear they made the pathfinding better, which is nice. I can't recall many times AI got stuck, like ever. But this still doesn't really change much though, because you probably are going to have a medic in your squad. He's going to be healing everyone constantly, so you'd really only have this to heal him, but you can also just kind of protect him, and I rarely had to do that. So overall, this didn't change much. The new inclusion that did change quite a bit is the new snark. Yeah, you heard me right, they added a new kind of snark. I love this. This is an explosive snark. It's living C4. Honestly, this is mostly used to kill the gargantuas, because this mod really likes gargantuas for some reason. You fight 3 of them. Not really sure what the focus of the gargantuas are. I mean, I only came across 1 tentacle, so you figure they'd have more of those than gargantuas, but no. In fact, this mod likes gargantuas so much that one of the new enemies is just a mini gargantua, which admittingly is pretty cool. They were fun to fight. As for the other new enemies, they added some cut content, like the flocking floaters. These are effectively aerial landmines. They will float at you and eventually blow up. They don't do a ton of damage, so they weren't really frustrating. But the coolest new inclusion is a new boss, and this has a pretty cool setup.
Don't go in there, Corporal. That monster wiped out my squad.
Yeah, that's the Kingpin, another cut enemy from Half-Life 1. If you haven't gathered from this setup, this mod is fun, not just because it throws new stuff at a wall and hope it works. Half-Life 1 isn't really the best shooter combat-wise. It's good, but it's not like it has Fear 1 combat. Half-Life 1 cannot rely on its combat alone to have a good time. You can't just chuck some enemies in a room and give you a few guns and hope the game ends up good. Valve never did that approach. Valve puts an absurd amount of time in player testing. Almost every single moment of Half-Life 1 is scripted in a way that you don't even notice. It still feels like the player is in control, but the game is really placing you in the right time, right place to maximize how fun it can be. Half-Life 1 is a first-person shooter, but it kind of isn't at the same time. It's honestly more of an adventure game that just happens to be in first person and with guns. Which sounds really weird to say out loud, but you know what I mean when I say that. That's why I love it so much. And this mod takes that exact approach to how it designs maps and combat encounters. These maps are great. Usually, they'll loop in on themselves, have multiple different ways to go. They don't feel like you're just walking down a corridor. And these set pieces are bigger than anything you saw in Half-Life 1. Take, for example, what is probably Half-Life 1's chapter that is the peak adrenaline as far as combat goes, surface tension. This mod has a chapter with very similar energy, called Field Intensity. Oh, it said the name of the mod, it did the thing. Anyway, this chapter is huge when it comes to combat. You will see Black Ops, Race X, aliens, and Marines all fighting at the same time. You will see ships being shot down around you. You will see massive battlefields in the distance, all while none of this feels like you're playing an interactive cutscene. You feel like you're in control. Whether your Marines stay alive is up to you. As far as all of this is concerned, I don't really have many complaints. I got stuck a few times, but every time I got stuck was because I just didn't look a certain direction. It was definitely player fault. Maybe you could do a little bit of polishing to have signposting be slightly better in that scenario, but it's all super small stuff. Like here, I didn't realize that I'd be able to make this jump from this box to that box. It looks too high in my mind, but no, that was the only thing I was missing. In fact, that box kind of seems unnecessary since you can make the next jump without it, so maybe don't have it, I don't know. It's all small stuff like that, nothing big. And that only happened like 3 times throughout the 5.5 hour long experience. Hell, this mod even made Zen fun. I actually kind of love it when other games go to Zen, because I love what Zen is. I love what the concept of Zen is. I just love weird alien universes. And Half-Life 1 didn't really utilize Zen to its fullest potential. This mod does. It has light platforming, but nothing like Half-Life 1. Overall, the path is very clear, the enemy encounters are fun, it's just as enjoyable as being on Earth. It is hard to come up with complaints about this mod, it is that good. But I do have one. That complaint is that this mod occasionally does show you cut content that you will never experience. This kind of does just feel like fan service. For example, I came across both the Chum Toad and the Stuka Bat. Like, cool, they're there, but I want them to either be a weapon or an enemy or have some impact. It's kind of just a nod to go, hey, cool, look, the Chum Toad, all right, moving on. But the more egregious example of this is the Panther Eye. I have always thought the Panther Eye is a really cool looking cut enemy. I mean, it's a big alien cat. What part of that isn't cool? In this mod, you see the Panther Eye quite a few different times, yet you never fight it or experience it. It's just kind of there. In this case, it honestly feels like they were planning to have the Panther Eye be a boss and couldn't get it to work, or maybe it wasn't fun or whatever, so they cut it out. Perhaps the same reasons Valve did. It makes for a neat set piece during events like this, but it's still disappointing that you never fight against it. In fact, I think the only mod where you do fight against the Panther Eye is Azure Sheep, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, my main complaint about Field Intensity is that there isn't more content than it already has. That's how you know this mod is really good. I think you guys get my point. I could talk about this mod so much more, but I really just wanted to ramble and gush about how good it is. This is one of the few times where I played something off stream and then gone, I have to make a video of this. So that I played through it a second time, streaming through it, talking to you guys all the while, and then made a video of it. I got more excuses to make more Half-Life content. I'm happy. And I think I can end the video here. Huge thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Click the link down below in the video information if you guys want to check out that browser. Huge thanks to my YouTube members. It really does mean a lot that they want to continue helping me produce this content. Money is not great at the moment, so really thank you. If you want to become a YouTube member, I do keep it cheap. The button is right next to the subscribe button. Thank all you guys for watching this video. If you want to see more of my stuff, I have a full playlist linked over there and a recommended video that YouTube thinks you'll like. If you want to subscribe and see more of my stuff, there should be a button right there in the middle. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.